This video is brought to you by BandShirtsUSA.com. Hey everyone, it's Chaz. In our last video, I showed you how to put together an in-ear monitor system for less than $100. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. Link in the description. In this video, I'm going to show you the rest of our live setup, how we control our in-ear monitors, and how we play shows with no amps and no speaker cabinets on stage. Let's get started. Alright, I'm gonna try to hold the camera for this part. Let's see how it goes. I'll use my setup as an example, and it's pretty similar to what Chet and Jay do. Obviously, we start with my guitar. It's a Schecter C7, 7-string. I think it's discontinued now. But I plug the guitar straight into my effects unit where the amp sim is built in. You can do this really any way you want. You don't have to use a unit like this. You can even use a regular guitar amp as long as you have a line out on it and the load is handled correctly depending on the type of amp. If you're not sure if your amp head can run without a cabinet, don't try it. I prefer this unit though because it's light and it runs on batteries, so it's one less cable to have on stage. If you're interested in the model, it's a Zoom G3X, which I believe costs about $200 new. Alright, so my guitar and the two others, along with the backing tracks, are all plugged into a set of DI boxes. As you can see, ours are wrapped together into a brick with gaff tape, and they're labeled by channel, because it's a lot easier to deal with one brick of DI boxes than 5 loose ones. And the rack-mounted DI boxes I've seen are really expensive, and they usually only have 4 inputs. Running DI boxes isn't really necessary, but we do it so we can run a longer cable distance to save time on setup. Now, a tip from experience. Make sure the cables you use to get to the DI boxes are long enough that you can keep the DIs far away from your walk paths on stage. We've broken so many cables and DI boxes by kicking them or stepping on them. Save yourself some money and some on-stage embarrassment, and don't break your DI boxes. Turn the camera off. From the instruments and DI boxes, we go to this rack mount splitter snake. You'll notice some other XLRs connected here. Those are the drums and vocals, which I'll get to in a moment. But as for the splitter snake, it's by Seismic Audio, and I've linked it in the description, of course. It has 16 inputs with combination XLR and 1/4-inch jacks, and since it's a splitter snake, it has 2 sets of 16 XLR outputs. So for everything you plug into the front, the signal splits and you get 2 outputs to send out the signal wherever you want. One set of outputs is for our mixer. I'll show you the mixer in just a moment. And the other set of outputs goes to the venue sound person to plug into their own system. We actually bought another snake to use as an extension because ours is only 15 feet, which actually isn't enough for a lot of venues. I like to connect everything ahead of time before the opening band even starts. So with the extension, now we have 30 feet of snake to work with, which lets us connect all of our gear off stage and then leave it there. Then when it's time to play, we just take the pedals, DI boxes, and instruments on stage and leave the rack off stage, which saves a lot of time and a lot of heavy lifting. And you can see here that we labeled the ends of the XLRs so they're easier to identify. It's just another way to make things faster for us and for the sound person, so we spend less time setting up and more time playing songs. And before we get a bunch of angry comments from people who claim that the only way to be a real band is to play tube amps and mic your cabinets, you know what? I hear you. I know where you're coming from, and I'm not stopping you from doing that. If tube amps and full stacks are what you need to achieve the sound and the image that you want for your band, then go for it. Our priority is to set up and break down as quickly as possible and get consistent sound and consistent monitor mixes at every show. So we're showing you one way to get that done. If you have some ideas for a live setup that you want to share, or you just want to tell us how terrible we are for using DI boxes live, leave a post in the comments section. And now back to the show. Now to the other set of XLRs, which you can see are all plugged into our own mixer inside the rack. It may look like it's just kind of floating here, but it's actually held in place by Velcro, and it's been holding up for 2 years now. But anyway, the mixer is a Behringer XR18, which is the smaller counterpart to the more popular X32 digital console. The X32 costs over $2,000, while the XR18 goes for about $450 brand new. The main difference between this and the X32 or a more traditional analog mixer is that this mixer has no faders or controls on the console itself. Everything is done with a laptop, tablet, or any mobile device, just by loading the Xair software and setting all of your different monitor mixes from the software. You can connect it with an Ethernet cable, or you can just use Wi-Fi. In our case, we connect it to an external router and broadcast our own Wi-Fi signal at every show. So if you've been to one of our shows, gone on your cell phone, and noticed that there's a Bloodbath and Beyond Wi-Fi network at the venue, that's why. And no, there's no internet on our network, so don't try to connect to it. Other than that, we just have a few optional parts that I'll quickly go over. We have a bunch of these Furman power conditioners. I think everybody has them. Down here, we use our own drum mics, so this is where we plug those in. The kick drum goes to this DBX compressor. If we had a bass player, the bass would go into the other channel. Here's the router I was talking about, just a standard dual band wireless router. I think it's an Asus. We also use our own vocal mics and stands, and a talkback mic for the sound person. Two of those mics are wireless, coming through this vocal unit. It's a GTD Audio G622 wireless unit with 2 mics and over 100 selectable channels in UHF. The new models are compliant with the new UHF frequency bands, and the cost of the unit is about $160. Surprisingly, it still works, even though both antennas have broken off. One of the screens is acting weird. In fact, I actually jumped into a swimming pool at one of our shows with one of the mics in my hand. That video's on our channel, by the way. But hey, this thing still works, and having all this stuff within the rack means that we don't have to set it up at shows because it's already connected and ready to go inside the rack. And just a quick word about our backing tracks. We use stereo MP3s with the click and basic cues panned hard right and the actual tracks panned hard left, and use this 1/8 inch TRS to dual 1/4 inch TS cable either straight into the board or through the DI boxes depending on the distance. You might also call this an 1/8 inch stereo to dual 1/4 inch mono cable or a stereo breakout cable, but that's what we use for our 808 bass drops and various effects that we can't reproduce with our instruments. Maybe if there's interest, I'll do a video in the future with the step-by-step details on how to actually create the tracks and how we make it work live. So let me know in the comments if you want to see something like that in the future. Alright, that's pretty much it for our live setup. We've gotten pretty efficient with it over the last couple of years, and it's been fun going over it with you. If you have any questions, or you want some help with getting the most out of your own live setup, comment below. I'm more than happy to help you out. We'll see you next time. If you're in a band, and you want an easy, free way to sell your band merch online, please check out our website, bandshirtsusa.com, also known as shirthaven.com. Here's how it works. You can have as many different t-shirt, tank top, and accessory designs as you want. Any number of colors, any style, men's, women's, toddlers, you name it. We'll set up all of your products and put them on the website for free. Just tell your fans about your merch, and every time someone buys one of your items, we pay you directly. You can even buy shirts to sell at shows, starting at less than $10 with no minimum purchase. You get a secure website to sell your merch, your fans get a huge selection of items with free shipping on all US orders, and they'll probably be more likely to buy knowing that a bunch of their favorite local bands are there on the same website. So go to bandshirtsusa.com or message Bloodbath and Beyond on Facebook to get started with your free band merch today. I'm Chaz from Bloodbath and Beyond. Thanks for watching.